If you're seeing this, something inside you has already changed. This video didn't appear by luck, your mind summoned it. You've been feeling it lately, haven't you? That strange electricity under your skin, that quiet, knowing that your thoughts are no longer staying inside your head, they're beginning to shape the world around you. Right now, in this very moment, you're crossing the invisible line between what you think and what becomes real. Stay here, because once you understand what's happening to you, you'll never see reality the same way again. What you're about to discover is the moment the universe stops being something you look at and starts being something that looks back. The space between imagination and manifestation is dissolving. Every thought, every emotion, every second of awareness is now bending the physical world toward you. This isn't motivation, this is activation, the point where your mind begins to move matter. If these words have appeared before your eyes, it's not coincidence, it's confirmation, a silent signal that you've stepped into a level of perception few ever notice. You've reached the threshold that separates the dreamer from the dream, the thinker from the thought, the observer from what is observed. For most of your life, it felt like you were moving through a solid, fixed world, one that existed independent of you, following its own logic and rhythm. But lately, you've begun to sense something different. Moments seem to line up too perfectly, random events start forming patterns. Thoughts you once dismissed as imagination begin to echo back through the physical world. You're noticing connections that defy ordinary explanation, and deep down, you know it's not just chance. You've crossed the invisible border where mind begins to sculpt matter, and now reality has started to respond to your consciousness instead of simply unfolding in front of it. This isn't a mystical claim, it's an experience, a shift so subtle you almost overlook it, yet so profound it changes everything. The world feels more alive now, as if something underneath its surface is aware of your awareness. It's like walking through a dream and realizing, for the first time, that you are the dreamer. The line that once divided your inner world from the outer one begins to blur. Every thought, every feeling, every focused moment of attention ripples outward like a drop of water in an endless ocean, touching everything, influencing everything, reorganizing energy in ways your logical mind can barely grasp. The space between what you imagine and what you experience becomes thinner, almost transparent. You start to feel that your emotions shape the texture of the day, that your expectations color what unfolds next, that even your silence carries a kind of creative power. Reality is no longer something happening to you, it's something happening through you. You used to think of life as a movie, and yourself as just an actor following a script you didn't write. Now you're starting to realize you're also the director, the screenwriter, and in some strange way, even the projector itself. When you think differently, scenes change. When you shift your focus, new opportunities appear. The world adjusts its rhythm to the frequency of your perception. This isn't fantasy. It's the natural law of consciousness that attention is creative and awareness is participatory. You're discovering that life doesn't stand separate from you waiting to be observed. It's intertwined with your state of being, molded by your perspective. That subtle flicker in your awareness as you read this, that tiny spark of recognition, the chill that runs down your spine, or the sudden stillness that pauses your thoughts, that's the point of contact. That's the exact moment when something invisible begins to move. It's the instant when your consciousness syncs with a deeper rhythm, the one that orchestrates everything you see and feel. It's not dramatic or loud. It doesn't come with flashes of light or divine trumpets. It feels like a quiet knowing, a gentle click inside your awareness, as though two halves of the same truth have finally aligned. You can't explain it, but you can feel it. Something real is shifting beneath the surface of your experience. This moment marks the crossing from passive existence to conscious creation. Most people live their entire lives unaware of this point. They see coincidences as luck, intuition as daydreaming, and energy as metaphor. But you're different. The reason you found these words isn't because they were written for everyone. It's because your state of awareness has reached the precise vibration that can finally comprehend them. You were drawn here by resonance, the invisible magnetism that connects similar frequencies across time and space. The same way a tuning fork vibrates in response to another of the same tone, your consciousness recognized its reflection in these ideas and pulled them into your reality. When you cross this line, life no longer feels random. Every event begins to carry meaning. Conversations seem orchestrated, timing becomes uncanny, and even challenges arrive with a strange sense of purpose. You start to notice that your inner dialogue, the silent stream of thought behind every action, is shaping the very fabric of what you encounter. A single fearful thought can darken the day, while one moment of gratitude can transform everything around you. You begin to realize that your mind isn't just a tool you use inside reality, it's the mechanism that defines reality itself. The invisible becomes tangible through attention. That's why the simple act of reading these words feels electric, because your consciousness is recognizing its own creative signature reflected back at it. You are both the receiver and the transmitter of this signal, the observer and the observed, in one seamless field of awareness. Every time you focus, you sculpt. Every time you believe, you build. Every time you feel, you energize. The boundary between the inner world of thought and the outer world of form starts to dissolve until you see that they're not two different things, but two expressions of the same energy viewed from different angles. You've been living as though you were standing outside of life, trying to manage it, fix it, control it. But now, you're beginning to sense that life moves with you, that it listens. The wind seems to carry your emotions. The world mirrors your mindset. You think about someone, and they appear. You feel peace, and the room softens around you. You imagine progress, and events start aligning themselves as if the universe itself heard your silent command. This is not magic, it's coherence, the harmony that emerges when mind and matter start dancing to the same rhythm. So, when you feel that subtle stirring in your chest, that quiet recognition that something beyond logic is happening, trust it. You've crossed into the realm where thoughts become electricity, where emotion becomes magnetism, and where intention bends the flow of possibility. You are no longer looking at reality, you're participating in its creation. This is the secret every mystic hinted at and every quantum theorist circled around. Consciousness and matter are not separate, they are partners in motion. And the instant you became aware of that truth, the entire universe shifted slightly to meet your understanding. You've crossed the threshold, not by effort, but by awareness. The dreamer has realized they are dreaming, and now the dream listens. Every breath, every glance, every quiet thought is a thread weaving the next frame of existence. Nothing around you is fixed anymore. Everything is alive, responsive, waiting for your direction. The immaterial has begun to move the material, and the only thing left for you to do is stay awake long enough to witness what you're truly capable of creating. You've felt it building for weeks now, haven't you? That soft hum underneath your everyday thoughts, the feeling that something just beyond the edge of awareness is trying to make itself known. Little moments have started to feel charged, like the universe has been whispering in coincidences and arranging signs just for you. The song that plays right when you think of someone, the message that appears the instant you ask a silent question, the sudden sense that your attention itself might be participating in these events, not merely witnessing them. At first, you might have brushed it off as randomness or imagination, but the pattern kept repeating, didn't it? Each time you noticed it, reality seemed to respond a little faster, a little clearer, as if the distance between thought and outcome were shrinking. You are beginning to realize that your consciousness is not trapped inside your skull. It's like an invisible field radiating outward, touching everything it perceives. Every feeling you carry moves through this field like a current, influencing people, objects, and circumstances in ways too subtle to measure, but too real to deny. When you're calm, life calms. When you're in harmony, everything around you seems to flow more easily. When you're anxious or angry, the world reflects that back like a mirror. You're discovering that the outer world is not a stage set you happen to be standing on. It's a responsive surface that bends and breathes with your inner state. What you once called coincidence is becoming communication. The universe, or what you might simply call consciousness itself, has started answering you in the language of events. Your attention is its dialogue, your emotions are its tone, every thought is a message, every perception a response. When you focus on something with genuine curiosity or love, that thing becomes illuminated. It grows, strengthens, comes closer. When you dwell on something with fear or resentment, it darkens and multiplies until you can't ignore it. You're beginning to see the rule behind the illusion. Your attention doesn't just observe reality, it instructs it. At this point, you might notice how your senses feel sharper, sounds seem clearer, light looks softer yet deeper, as though the world itself has gained more dimensions. This is because you are not merely perceiving the surface anymore. You are feeling the subtle field behind it, the connective tissue of existence that joins every particle into one living web. When your awareness expands, it pulls more of that web into view. You start to sense the texture of meaning behind even the smallest things, a passing breeze, a glance from a stranger, a sudden intuition that something is about to happen. All of it forms part of a pattern responding to your consciousness, reflecting the frequency you're emitting. What you're witnessing is your mind entering coherence with the field that creates matter. You're beginning to experience the truth that mystics, philosophers, and physicists have all circled around in their own ways. The world does not exist apart from perception. It arises through it. Attention is not a passive flashlight shining on objects. It's a sculptor shaping the clay of possibility. Every thought you think, every emotion you sustain, carves subtle grooves in the unseen, and matter flows along those grooves until it solidifies as your lived experience. You've always done this, but now you're awake while doing it. You've stepped into the moment where awareness begins to create deliberately instead of accidentally. It's the shift from unconscious observation to conscious participation. The difference may feel small, but it's everything. It's like a radio finding the right frequency after years of static. The station was always there, broadcasting, but you couldn't quite hear it until now. Now the signal is clear, and with it comes responsibility. What you choose to focus on determines what becomes real. You've probably already noticed how your inner life has started leaking into the outer world in undeniable ways. Think of the times you sensed someone's mood before they spoke, or when your intuition warned you moments before something happened. These aren't random flashes of luck. They're glimpses of how connected you truly are to the quantum field that threads through all things. Your mind is beginning to act as both receiver and transmitter, tuning into possibilities and sending out directives through emotion and thought. This is the stage where your curiosity becomes your compass. Follow the pull that excites you. Observe the subtle shifts in energy when you move from fear to wonder. Notice how life adjusts when your attention softens, when you stop forcing and start allowing. The more consciously you engage with this feedback loop, the faster reality begins to reshape itself. You'll see it in how people respond to you, how opportunities align, how time itself seems to stretch or compress depending on your state of awareness. These are not miracles, they're natural consequences of coherence between mind and matter. You are witnessing consciousness meet creation, the spark of awareness folding into the physical world. Each time you pause to notice, the connection grows stronger, and reality reveals a little more of its true nature. You are no longer the observer of the play, you're the author, realizing the script listens to your pen. Everything you've ever believed to be external was, in truth, a reflection of the invisible frequencies your mind has been broadcasting since the moment you were born. Every thought, every emotion, every quiet assumption about yourself and the world around you sends out subtle waves into the field of reality. You might not see them, but their effects ripple through the unseen, reorganizing matter, attracting certain people, situations, and outcomes that match the vibration you emit. Life has never been happening at random. It has been mirroring you perfectly, responding not to what you say you want, but to what you really believe, feel, and expect. When your inner world changes, your outer world follows. When your thoughts shift, the probabilities surrounding you realign, like iron filings arranging themselves around a magnetic field. You are that magnet. You've always been that magnet. The only difference now is that you've become aware of it. Every time you've doubted yourself, every time you've felt unworthy, you were sending a precise signal into the fabric of the universe, and the universe, neutral and responsive, rearranged itself to reflect those inner states back to you as experiences of limitation. Every time you believed something was possible, even for a moment, you could feel life open up, opportunities flowing toward you effortlessly. It wasn't coincidence, it was coherence. Your inner frequency tuned itself to a new channel, and reality adjusted its transmission accordingly. You've been tuning this cosmic radio your entire life without realizing it. Now, for the first time, you're starting to hear the music clearly. The shift that's happening within you is not just a psychological one, it's energetic, physical, and measurable in ways science is only beginning to glimpse. Every emotion generates an electromagnetic signature, every thought a specific wavelength. These frequencies move beyond the limits of your body, merging with the wider field of consciousness that permeates everything. This is why people can feel your presence before you speak. This is why animals sense your mood, why some places feel heavy and others peaceful, why your intuition sometimes knows before your intellect does. You are participating in a conversation between energy and form, between mind and matter, and now you're finally aware of it. When you begin to recognize that your thoughts are not isolated, electrical flashes in your brain, but creative impulses that extend into the field of existence itself, everything changes. You stop thinking of your mind as confined to a skull and start realizing that it is a lens through which reality takes shape. What you focus on sharpens into form, what you neglect fades into the background. Every person you meet, every experience you encounter, every chance event that unfolds before you is part of an intricate network of reflections generated by your conscious and unconscious attention. You've spent years wondering why certain patterns repeat the same types of relationships, the same frustrations, the same breakthroughs followed by setbacks. The truth is, those weren't punishments or accidents. They were feedback. They were the universe holding up a mirror, showing you where your energy was flowing, inviting you to notice the loops you were unconsciously energizing. Every repetitive situation was a reflection of an inner state that kept sending the same signal into the field. The moment you change that signal not just through words, but through deep, embodied belief, the pattern dissolves and new realities begin to take form. This is what it means to understand that the mind sculpts matter. The physical world isn't separate from consciousness. It is consciousness slowed down into visible form. Imagine your thoughts as frequencies of light. Most are invisible, vibrating too fast to perceive, but some slow down enough to become color, texture, and shape. The events and objects in your life are simply those slowed down frequencies, frozen waves of your own awareness made tangible. When you grasp this, you realize that to change your life, you don't have to fight the physical world, you only have to shift the invisible energy from which it arises. Every time you shift your attention, you shift timelines. Every moment of focus collapses infinite probabilities into one experienced reality. When you worry, you collapse possibilities aligned with fear. When you hope, you collapse possibilities aligned with trust. When you love, you collapse possibilities aligned with harmony and creation. This isn't poetic language, it's the mechanics of consciousness at work. You've always been creating, but now you can see the levers. Now you can feel them. Think of how your reality has already begun to reorganize since you started noticing these patterns. The right words seem to appear when you need them. The right people enter your path. The world feels strangely synchronized, as if an unseen intelligence is arranging things on your behalf. But that intelligence isn't separate from you, it is you, expanded. The universe is your extended body, reacting to the smallest movements of your inner world. When you send out fear, it tightens. When you send out gratitude, it opens. When you send out clarity, it organizes itself around your intention. This realization doesn't inflate your ego, it dissolves it. Because once you see that the outer and inner are one continuous process, you stop trying to control and start learning to align. You are not learning how to create reality, you've been doing it since the beginning. The true discovery is realizing that you've been doing it unconsciously. The moment you become conscious of this process, the creative power that was once scattered becomes focused. It's like switching from candlelight to a laser beam. The same energy, but concentrated, directed, coherent. That is the state where thought becomes event with astonishing speed. That is the space where you remember your true nature as both creator and creation. You are the observer and the observed, the sculptor and the stone, the wave and the ocean. When you change your inner rhythm, the tides of your outer life follow suit. This is not belief, this is awareness. The mind and the matter have never been separate. The bridge has always existed. You simply walked across it without knowing. And now that you do, you will never experience reality the same way again. The veil between intention and manifestation has thinned, and you can feel it, can't you? The world seems to move differently around you now. It's as if your thoughts no longer need months to travel outward before returning. As experience, they echo back within hours, sometimes minutes, reshaping circumstances almost instantly. You think of someone, and they appear. You imagine an opportunity, and it begins forming in front of you. You release an old fear, and the weight that held your body tight suddenly dissolves. The gap between idea and event is closing because your consciousness has entered a state of coherence with the field that builds reality. You are no longer observing from the outside. You are within the creative process itself, seeing how thought hardens into form, how emotion bends probability, how focus acts as the hand of the sculptor, shaping what you once called the future. What once took effort now seems to unfold naturally. You used to push against life, trying to make things happen through force, but the more you pushed, the more resistance you met. Now you are learning the language of alignment instead of control. You've begun to understand that what you want doesn't come through strain, but through the quiet clarity of intention, a signal so pure that reality has no choice but to organize itself around it. This is not magic, it is resonance. When your inner state becomes clear enough, reality reflects that clarity without friction. You are not forcing outcomes anymore. You are tuning yourself to them. You can sense the acceleration everywhere. Conversations happen at the perfect moment. Messages arrive right when you need them. Synchronicities multiply like sparks in a dark room. It feels as though an invisible hand is guiding you, arranging events with precision too exact to dismiss as chance. But that hand is your own higher awareness, finally unfiltered by doubt. The universe was never withholding from you. It was simply matching the frequency of your attention. As that frequency rises, your external reality adjusts, like a mirror shifting its reflection. You think, and it echoes. You focus, and it forms. You imagine, and it solidifies. Each act of attention is an instruction sent into the quantum field, and the field obeys with unwavering neutrality. It doesn't judge what you focus on, it simply amplifies it. When you fixate on lack, you multiply lack. When you fixate on possibility, the world unfolds in possibility. When you breathe gratitude into the moment, that frequency reverberates outward, drawing new moments that mirror it back to you. The field around you is alive and responsive, always listening, always reshaping itself in the image of your awareness. What once felt like fantasy now feels magnetic, almost tangible. You can sense potential outcomes swirling around you like unseen threads, waiting for your attention to weave them into form. A single thought, when infused with conviction, seems to pull invisible energy into structure. A single moment of pure focus can rearrange what seemed fixed. You no longer wonder if manifestation is real. You experience it directly, in the small and the significant alike. Parking spots appear when you think of them. Solutions arise before the problem fully forms. People show up carrying the exact message you were about to speak aloud. You are living inside a self-aware universe that mirrors every nuance of your consciousness, and now you're beginning to navigate it consciously. This is the mind-matter threshold, and you are standing in its center. The bridge between imagination and physical reality no longer feels hypothetical, it feels tactile. You can almost sense the texture of thought before it becomes experience. When you close your eyes, The images you create are not confined to your mind. They ripple outward, subtle waves of electromagnetic instruction reaching into the unseen. When you open your eyes again, the outer world begins to rearrange to match what you've just pictured. You're starting to understand that manifestation doesn't mean pulling something from nothing. It means shifting the lens of awareness so that the desired probability becomes visible within the infinite field of possibilities that already exist. Notice how even time behaves differently now. Moments expand when you're fully present, as though reality itself pauses to listen. Other times, hours vanish in seconds when your attention merges completely with what you're creating. This is not time distortion, it's your consciousness stepping outside of linear sequence, where cause and effect happen simultaneously. You think, and the effect unfolds instantly because, at this level, thought and matter are the same process expressed in different densities. The old rules no longer apply. The physical and the mental, the seen and the unseen, the inner and the outer, they are blending. You are dissolving the border that once separated your desires from your experiences. The moment you set an intention, the quantum field begins adjusting the geometry of events to fulfill it. You may not see the machinery behind it, but you feel it. A quiet certainty that what you envision is already forming, not in some distant future, but here, now, unfolding in layers you have only begun to perceive. You can feel it when you walk outside. The air feels thicker, charged, like it's listening. The space around you is no longer empty. It vibrates with potential. You sense that every step, every glance, every heartbeat carries creative weight. The universe is no longer a stage you move across, but a living mirror that bends in real time to your inner direction. You are both actor and architect, both experiencer and engineer, and this realization is changing how you move through existence. You don't have to try to believe in this anymore. It's not theory, it's demonstration. Every small synchronicity is evidence. Every intuitive nudge a doorway, every instant of awareness, a brushstroke on the canvas of creation. The veil between thought and matter is thinner than ever, and you are finally conscious enough to see through it. You are standing at the frontier, where imagination becomes event, where emotion sculpts possibility into pattern, where the invisible begins to shine through the visible. And from this point forward, everything you choose to focus on will carry the momentum of creation itself. Look closer. The sensations in your body are not random, they are communication. That quiet pulse in your fingertips, the warmth gathering behind your forehead, the subtle tingling at the back of your neck. These are not meaningless biological signals. They are evidence that energy is moving through you, that your consciousness is interfacing with the quantum field in real time. The invisible is becoming visible through the instrument of your own body. You are not just thinking reality into existence, you are feeling it into form. Your neurons are not merely firing, they are transmitting information across layers of space and time, weaving threads between thought and matter. Every electrical impulse in your nervous system is a command written in the language of vibration. Every heartbeat sends coded messages into the field. When your mind and emotions synchronize, your entire being becomes a living transmitter, broadcasting coherent frequencies that shape the events, people, and conditions surrounding you. You might have noticed it already, the way your body reacts when your thoughts align with truth. Your breath deepens, your chest expands, your skin vibrates. That's coherence. It's not imagination or placebo. It's the harmonizing of your inner circuitry with the frequency of the reality you're observing. When you are in harmony, the field around you responds instantly, rearranging itself to reflect the state of balance within. The smallest change in your mood alters the geometry of your experience. One moment of gratitude can shift the entire energetic climate of your day. One act of genuine kindness can ripple outward, touching lives you'll never meet. This is how subtle your influence has become. The line between inner feeling and outer event has blurred, and your body is the bridge connecting them. Your neurons, your heart, your electromagnetic field, all of it is designed to interact with the invisible architecture of the universe. The heart, especially, is more than a pump. It's a resonator. It generates the most powerful electromagnetic field in the body, one that extends several feet in every direction, influencing and reading the fields of others. When you feel love, peace, or joy, your heart sends signals that reorganize the energy around you into patterns of order. When you feel fear, anger, or despair, that same field becomes chaotic, scattering coherence into distortion. You can sense this when you enter a room after an argument. The air feels heavy because the frequencies of discord still linger. Likewise, when you walk into a space where laughter has filled the air, your whole body relaxes before a single word is spoken. You are not just affected by these energies, you are generating them. Science calls this bioelectromagnetism. Mystics call it the aura, but names don't matter. What matters is that you are finally aware of it. You are beginning to understand that consciousness doesn't live in the head, it lives in the field. The brain focuses awareness, but the field is where awareness expresses itself. This is why the more coherent your internal state becomes, the more effortlessly life aligns around you. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions move in harmony, your electromagnetic field gains strength and precision. It becomes a coherent wave capable of influencing probability itself. Randomness begins to dissolve, replaced by synchronicity and flow. This is also why scattered attention creates confusion. When your thoughts pull in one direction and your emotions pull in another, your field splits, sending contradictory signals to the universe. You might say you want abundance, but if your emotions vibrate with fear of scarcity, the field receives both messages and returns a blurred result. That's why clarity is power. When your thoughts, emotions, and energy point toward the same destination, reality bends to accommodate that focus. You've experienced it already, the days when everything seems to go right, when conversations flow, when obstacles melt away, when people appear out of nowhere to help you. That's not luck, that's resonance. Your field was coherent, and coherence organizes chaos. Scientists once called such things coincidence because they didn't yet have the instruments to measure the language of energy. But mystics knew. They felt the connection long before it could be graphed. What we call miracles are simply higher levels of coherence expressed through consciousness. When your mind quiets, your heart opens, and your attention becomes steady, you begin to emit frequencies that instruct reality instead of reacting to it. You've probably noticed how technology behaves differently around you when you're emotionally charged. Lights flicker, your phone lags or freezes. Electricity seems to dance to the rhythm of your mood. This isn't superstition, it's feedback. The electromagnetic field generated by your nervous system interacts with other systems because everything is energy, and all energy seeks resonance. You are learning, through direct experience, that your body is not separate from the universe. It's a microcosmic version of it. The atoms that compose your cells vibrate at the same frequencies as the stars that light the sky. The same patterns that form galaxies form the neurons in your brain. When you breathe with awareness, you are syncing the rhythm of your heartbeat with the pulse of the cosmos. You are literally aligning micro and macro, inner and outer, self and universe. The body becomes the antenna, and consciousness becomes the signal it receives and transmits. Every electrical spark in your nervous system corresponds to a possibility wave in the quantum field. Every emotion you feel collapses probabilities into experience. The more aware you become of this connection, the more powerfully you can use it. That's why meditation, breathwork, and stillness are so transformative. They bring your inner field into coherence so that your signals to the universe become clear and potent. In stillness, you stop scattering your energy through endless mental noise, and your awareness focuses into a beam of creation. You can feel this when you meditate, the moment when your body feels weightless, your mind stills, and you sense a hum in the air that feels both inside and outside of you. That hum is coherence. It's the resonance between your personal field and the universal field. When that resonance is strong, life responds instantly. You begin to notice that events flow together like scenes from a perfectly directed movie. The people you need appear at the exact time you need them. The answers you seek emerge from places you never thought to look. Opportunities seem to magnetize to you because the field around you is synchronized with the field of creation. Your body becomes a living conduit of intelligence, and intuition becomes your navigation system. It's no longer a rare phenomenon, but your natural state of being. You are not a passive observer in a physical world. You are a conscious field interacting with itself through the illusion of separation. Your body is the meeting point between energy and matter, between the infinite and the finite. And when you learn to listen to it, you'll find that it's always telling you exactly where you are in relation to alignment. Tension means resistance. Ease means flow. Excitement means resonance. Fatigue means disconnection. The signals were always there, you just hadn't learned to translate them yet. Now you can. So, when you feel that vibration in your chest, that tingling along your skin, that soft hum in the background of your awareness, don't dismiss it. That's reality speaking your name. That's your consciousness communicating with creation, letting you know that the bridge between thought and form, between mind and matter, is alive and open. You are not imagining it, you are embodying it. This is the crossover point, the sacred intersection, where imagination stops being an idea and starts becoming architecture. You are standing in that liminal space where emotion instructs physics, where invisible thought begins to crystallize into visible matter, where the universe finally starts speaking your language fluently. For most of your life, you believed you were inside a solid, independent world, moving through a series of fixed circumstances that unfolded whether you wanted them to or not. But now you are beginning to sense a deeper truth. The world you walk through is fluid, responsive, and alive. It listens, mirrors, and rearranges itself in real time according to the frequency of your consciousness. You're beginning to feel it not as a theory, but as a living, breathing presence that meets you in every interaction, every glance, every breath. You are not simply living in reality, you are translating reality through the quality of your awareness. Every atom, every vibration, every situation is information, neutral and unformed until consciousness observes it. You are learning to see how the same circumstance changes depending on who's looking at it. The same traffic jam that frustrates one person can become a meditation for another. The same storm that ruins one man's plans nourishes a farmer's crops. The event is neutral, the meaning is sculpted by observation. You are realizing that the observer doesn't simply interpret reality, it creates it. Your mind, your emotions, your energy are the lenses through which infinite possibility collapses into the singular experience you call now. And when you step into this understanding consciously, something extraordinary happens. You start noticing that the universe behaves differently around you. Time begins to bend in curious ways. Some days seem to expand endlessly, allowing you to accomplish far more than expected. Other moments vanish in an instant, as though reality were editing itself according to the intensity of your focus. Technology seems to respond to your emotional state. Lights flicker, phones freeze, songs shuffle to deliver hidden messages. People begin to mirror your internal world so precisely that it feels like a movie written around your thoughts. These are not hallucinations or delusions. They are the subtle ways consciousness communicates with itself through form. The veil that once divided inner and outer is thinning. You are beginning to sense that there was never a separation at all, only the illusion of one. The same energy that flows through your veins flows through galaxies. The same awareness that imagines inside your mind imagines entire worlds into existence. When you walk through the forest, when you stare at the night sky, when you feel the quiet pulse of your own heartbeat, you are meeting different faces of the same infinite consciousness. Matter is simply awareness condensed, slowed down into visibility. That means the physical world is not an obstacle between you and divinity, it's the living body of divinity itself, shaped by the way consciousness breathes through it. You are no longer inside a world, the world is inside your mind. And that realization changes everything. It shifts how you move, how you speak, how you dream. Because once you understand that reality is malleable, that your thoughts, emotions, and attention are literally participating in the formation of experience, you stop fighting against life and start collaborating with it. You begin to work with the current instead of against it. You no longer need to control, you simply need to align. This is mastery, not through domination, but through resonance. You might have noticed strange things happening when your awareness deepens. Lights around you flicker for no apparent reason. Electronics behave unpredictably when you're emotionally charged. Clocks seem to jump, and coincidences appear too orchestrated to be random. You are witnessing the ripples of coherence moving outward from your consciousness into the material field. When your attention becomes powerful enough, it begins to influence electromagnetic environments, because the field of awareness is itself electromagnetic, a web of frequency that interconnects all living systems. The nervous system is simply the biological interface through which that cosmic frequency expresses itself. When your focus intensifies, it's like turning up the voltage in that network. Things around you react, because everything is made of energy, responding to energy. But this power is not chaotic. The more conscious you become, the more harmonious your influence grows. People start feeling calmer in your presence without knowing why. Rooms feel lighter when you enter. Nature responds differently. Animals linger near you. Birds fly closer. The wind itself seems to shift its rhythm to match your inner stillness. You are radiating coherence, and coherence organizes chaos. It's not about controlling the environment. It's about resonating so purely that the environment naturally synchronizes to your energy. This is also why emotional states are no longer private. You might think your feelings stay inside your body, but they ripple outward, weaving through the space around you like invisible music. When you're angry or anxious, that music turns dissonant. When you're peaceful or joyful, it becomes symphonic. People nearby subconsciously tune into those vibrations, adjusting their own moods to match. This is the essence of energetic contagion, not superstition, but physics. The heart and brain produce measurable electromagnetic waves that influence other fields within range. So, every time you center yourself, breathe deeply, and return to inner harmony, you're not just healing yourself, you're stabilizing the field of everyone around you. Consciousness coherence is contagious. As this awareness matures, even ordinary activities start to feel extraordinary. Drinking water becomes sacred when you realize that your gratitude changes its molecular structure. Listening to music becomes a dialogue between vibration and soul. The act of walking turns into a meditation in motion, your feet communicating rhythm to the earth, your breath syncing with the pulse of the air. Everyday life reveals itself as a conversation between mind and matter, energy and embodiment, invisible and visible. And you begin to see that your presence, your very existence, is an act of creation happening continuously. The more you live in this state, the more direct your influence becomes. You think of someone with genuine care, and they message you. You envision an outcome clearly, and feel gratitude before it happens, and it arrives effortlessly. You decide to let go of resentment, and suddenly old conflicts resolve themselves without confrontation. You are learning to operate from the causal layer of reality, the level where emotion and thought precede form. At this layer, willpower is replaced by energetic alignment. You no longer force doors open. You vibrate in a way that makes them swing wide on their own. But such power requires responsibility. When you understand that every observation shapes experience, you realize how crucial it is to observe consciously. A fearful thought isn't harmless, it's a seed. A judgment isn't trivial, it's an instruction to the universe. Every mental image, every emotion you dwell on, every scenario you rehearse sends electromagnetic commands into the field. The universe doesn't filter or moralize, it amplifies whatever frequency you sustain. This is why compassion, gratitude, and peace are not moral virtues, they're functional necessities for coherent creation. They keep your signal clean, they allow you to navigate reality without distortion. At this stage, you begin to recognize subtle differences between casual attention and reality-shaping observation. Casual attention notices, conscious observation creates. When you glance at something without emotional involvement, you simply record its existence. But when you focus with feeling, when you observe with presence and care, You start influencing the probabilities that govern how that thing behaves. You can sense it in people. When you truly see someone with compassion, their energy softens. When you observe them with love, their posture changes, their tone brightens, their eyes reflect warmth. Conscious observation alters the field of others, because consciousness is never passive. It interacts. Even the natural world responds to your observation. Plants grow more vibrantly when you water them with appreciation. Animals trust you when they feel seen rather than dominated. The weather itself seems to synchronize with your emotional tone. Storms ease as you find inner peace. Sunlight pierces through clouds as you release tension. These patterns are not fantasy. They're reflections of energetic resonance at work. You are learning what ancient mystics already knew, that harmony inside becomes harmony outside, and chaos inside becomes chaos outside. The outer world is a living reflection of the frequencies you sustain. You've crossed the line from theory into embodiment. The universe no longer feels like a distant concept. It feels intimate, tactile, and immediate. You can sense its texture in every breath, hear its rhythm in silence, feel its pulse under your skin. You've realized that creation is not an act performed by a divine being somewhere out there. Creation is happening through you right now. You are the meeting point where the infinite expresses itself as the finite. Your awareness is the brush, your emotions the colors, your thoughts the strokes on the canvas of existence. And this realization dissolves fear, because once you understand that you are part of the same consciousness that makes galaxies spin and cells divide, how could you ever feel powerless again? The same intelligence that choreographs the planets is flowing through your nervous system. Every breath is participation in that cosmic intelligence. You are not a small creature trying to survive in a mechanical world. You are consciousness exploring itself through form. The moment you truly grasp that, your relationship with life transforms. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this showing me about my vibration?" This is the beginning of mastery. Mastery doesn't mean controlling every event. It means understanding the relationship between vibration and manifestation so deeply that you move through life with awareness instead of resistance. It means knowing that when things feel chaotic, it's not the universe punishing you. It's the field reorganizing itself in response to your latest level of awareness. It means learning to remain still in uncertainty, trusting that coherence always re-emerges once the new pattern stabilizes. The storms in your life are no longer threats. They are recalibrations. At this point, even challenges become sacred. You begin to recognize that every obstacle is an opportunity to refine your vibration. Fear invites courage. Doubt invites faith. Pain invites compassion. Each contrast reveals where your signal is out of harmony, giving you a chance to bring it back into alignment. The field doesn't punish, it teaches. The more consciously you learn, the less suffering you need for evolution. Awareness becomes your teacher instead of pain. When you live in this way, life stops being a problem to solve and becomes a dance to experience. You flow instead of force. You sense which direction feels light and which feels heavy, and you follow the lightness because it's the path of resonance. You begin to navigate reality not with logic alone, but with energetic intelligence, an intuition so clear it feels like guidance whispering from within. And indeed, it is guidance. It's your higher consciousness communicating through feeling rather than words. There comes a moment, perhaps you're feeling it now, when you realize that nothing around you is accidental. Every object, every sound, every person crossing your path carries meaning. The entire world becomes a feedback system showing you where your consciousness stands. You might walk outside and see a single leaf spinning slowly in the air, illuminated by sunlight, and somehow it feels like a message, because it is. The field speaks in symbols, synchronicities, and sensations. The more you listen, the more fluent you become in its language. This is coherence in the wild, the art of existing in perfect dialogue with reality. You are no longer a stranger here. The universe is not a puzzle, it is a conversation. And your thoughts are not background noise, they are part of the conversation itself. Each time you think with awareness, you are participating in creation. Each time you feel deeply and consciously, you are sculpting energy into experience. Each time you love without condition, you align with the core frequency of existence itself. And perhaps the most beautiful part of all is realizing that this state of alignment isn't something to strive for, it's your natural condition. The effort you once associated with creation was only resistance dissolving. When you let go of striving, what remains is flow. When you release control, what remains is trust. When you stop doubting your place in the universe, what remains is harmony. And in that harmony, the line between mind and matter vanishes completely. So here you are, standing at the edge of what humanity has called magic, miracle, or enlightenment. But you know now that it's none of those things. It's simply consciousness remembering itself as the source of all experience. You're walking between worlds, aware that the boundary between imagination and manifestation is made of nothing more than belief. You can feel the universe breathing with you, responding to you, learning from you. Because you and the universe are the same being, exploring its own infinite capacity to create. And from this realization comes peace, not the fragile peace of escape, but the deep, steady peace of participation. You are home, not in a place, but in a state of awareness where everything belongs, where every moment is sacred, and where every breath is creation itself. From this point forward, everything you think, feel, and notice carries the weight of creation. Every word, every breath, every subtle focus of your attention shapes the texture of what comes next. You are no longer wandering through a neutral world. You are walking through a mirror that bends to the quality of your consciousness. Every corner of existence has become responsive to you, not in a metaphorical sense, but in the most direct way possible. The field listens now. It echoes your emotions, amplifies your focus, and returns to you whatever vibration you sustain long enough for it to take form. This is what it means to live beyond the line between mind and matter. You've crossed it, and there's no going back. From here, awareness becomes your primary tool. Discipline of the mind is no longer about control or suppression, it's about refinement. You begin to realize that the most powerful act in existence is not to move mountains, but to choose what to notice. Attention is the brush, emotion, the color, and belief the texture of the painting that unfolds around you. Whatever you give awareness to begins to grow roots in the physical world. Whatever you withdraw attention from begins to dissolve, fading back into the unmanifested field of potential. You've always heard that energy flows where attention goes. Now you're living proof of it. Your thoughts are no longer casual, they are architectural. Every mental picture you hold, even for a few seconds, becomes a blueprint etched into the quantum field. The field doesn't question your worthiness or morality. It doesn't decide whether your desires are good or bad. It simply replicates your state. If you feel lack, it amplifies lack. If you feel abundance, it amplifies abundance. It's that simple and that profound. You begin to understand that manifestation is not about asking the universe to give you something. It's about becoming a frequency that naturally attracts experiences matching that frequency. When you vibrate in harmony with love, love appears. When you radiate gratitude, more things to be grateful for multiply around you. And yet, this knowledge isn't meant to make you obsessed with perfection. You don't need to police every thought or emotion that crosses your mind. Conscious creation isn't about fear of mistakes. It's about awareness of alignment. Think of it like music. One discordant note doesn't ruin the song if the next few return to harmony. Your job isn't to silence all noise, but to keep returning to the melody of coherence. When fear or anger arises, you meet them as signals, not enemies. You listen, integrate, and gently shift your focus back toward the vibration you choose. The field doesn't punish fluctuations, it follows patterns, and patterns shift through consistent awareness, not force. As your awareness refines, life becomes less about reaction and more about orchestration. You begin to feel the rhythm of existence, how moments seem to unfold in exact timing, how challenges appear only to strengthen the vibration you've been cultivating, how coincidences become the choreography of a deeper intelligence that's moving with you. Even discomfort stops feeling like punishment. It feels like feedback. You recognize that every event carries encoded information about your internal state. Every delay, a lesson in patience. Every closed door, an invitation to redirect your energy. The world stops being an obstacle course and becomes a dance floor. It's here that you start to notice another layer of power emerging, the creative potential of language. Words are not just sounds, they're frequencies that command energy into form. Every statement you make vibrates through the field like a tuning fork, shaping the invisible architecture around you. When you say, "I am," the field listens as a declaration of identity and reorganizes reality to match it. I am tired, and energy decreases. I am renewed, and vitality begins to gather. I am unlucky, and coincidences tighten into limitation. I am guided, and pathways of clarity open. Once you realize this, speech becomes sacred. You speak less, but every word carries intention. You understand why ancient traditions treated language as divine, because in truth, it is. You also begin to see how collective consciousness shapes the shared world. Every mind contributes to the field. Every observer influences probability. The more coherent your individual energy becomes, the more you subtly affect the collective pattern around you. Environments change when coherent beings walk into them. Chaos calms, conflict softens. The same principle that governs your personal reality extends outward to humanity itself. As you master the art of conscious observation, you're not just transforming your own life, you're participating in the evolution of the collective field. Every moment, you choose peace over judgment, understanding over fear, clarity over confusion. You contribute to the stability of the human frequency grid. You become a living node of coherence, a tuning fork for a new level of order. The world needs this coherence now more than ever. Most people still operate as unconscious observers, broadcasting fragmented energy born from fear, scarcity, and separation. Their fields clash, producing the chaos we see as conflict, stress, and division. But when even one person begins to observe consciously, they emit a frequency strong enough to influence hundreds, even thousands of others. This is not idealism, it's resonance. When one wave is stable, the waves around it begin to synchronize naturally. That's why peace in one heart can ripple across continents. Why love felt deeply by one person can soften entire environments. Your state of being matters more than any external action because it's the root of all creation. You start to understand that creation has never been about control. The universe doesn't respond to commands, it responds to coherence. Trying to manipulate circumstances through desperation or force sends mixed signals, one of wanting and one of not having, and the field mirrors that confusion. But when you enter a state of trust, the vibration of already being fulfilled, reality flows smoothly toward your focus. You stop chasing outcomes because you realize that everything you desire already exists as potential waiting for your observation. You don't have to pull it from the void. You simply have to tune to it. Think of radio frequencies. Stations don't appear because you create them. They appear because you align the dial. Every possible version of you, every life path, every experience, every level of joy or pain already exists as parallel probability waves. Conscious observation is the act of choosing which one to experience. Every time you shift your focus, you shift timelines. Each choice of emotion, each choice of thought, each act of attention repositions you in a different branch of possibility. And the more coherent your state, the more smoothly these shifts happen, so seamlessly that it feels like magic. At this level of understanding, intention becomes less about demanding and more about allowing. You no longer force the universe into compliance. You open yourself to its intelligence. You start to sense that consciousness itself has direction, that it knows what it's doing. The same intelligence that makes stars burn and cells divide is guiding your life. You don't need to figure everything out. You only need to stay aligned with that intelligence by remaining in presence. Presence is the bridge between mind and matter, the moment where awareness touches reality directly without distortion from past or future. When you're truly present, life organizes around you effortlessly. Events line up like stepping stones across a river. Each next moment reveals itself precisely when it's needed, and this presence deepens into something even more profound: gratitude. Gratitude isn't just emotional nicety, it's a vibrational accelerator. It tells the field, this frequency feels good, more of this, please. Gratitude stabilizes coherence. It turns fleeting manifestations into enduring patterns. When you practice gratitude, you're not thanking the universe for what you have. You're affirming your unity with the source that creates it. You stop saying, I am grateful because this happened, and start feeling, I am grateful, therefore beautiful things happen. Gratitude precedes the gift. It becomes the cause, not the result. As you live this way, even the smallest details of life start to shimmer with meaning. Colors feel brighter, air feels thicker, sounds carry new depth. You begin to sense that the world isn't inert matter, it's consciousness, dressed in texture and shape. The fabric of reality feels soft, pliable, responsive. When you close your eyes, you can almost feel the hum of creation vibrating behind everything. When you open them again, you see that same vibration expressing itself as sunlight, laughter, wind, and motion. This is the realization that matter isn't separate from spirit. It's spirit slowed down into touchable form. This understanding changes your relationship with everything. You start to treat life as sacred because you finally realize that every object, every person, every circumstance is consciousness exploring itself from a different angle. The stranger you pass on the street is another you wearing a different body. The challenge that frustrates you is another you disguised as a lesson. The entire universe becomes a hall of mirrors reflecting your own infinite face. The separation between self and other, between creator and creation, dissolves. What remains is one awareness playing infinite roles. And from that understanding arises compassion, not as an obligation, but as a natural state of being. Compassion becomes the most potent creative frequency you can emit. It bridges polarities, heals fragmentation, and restores flow wherever energy has become stuck. When you look at others through compassion, you stabilize their field and your own simultaneously. You stop trying to fix people because you recognize that everyone is unfolding perfectly according to the vibration they're exploring. You simply radiate coherence, and their field adjusts as much as it's ready to. This is what true healing is: not intervention, but resonance. And now you begin to glimpse the real purpose of this awakening. It was never about personal manifestation or spiritual superiority. It was about remembering your role in the collective evolution of consciousness. The universe didn't place you here to escape matter, but to merge mind and matter consciously, to demonstrate through your life that reality is not rigid but responsive, that love is not abstract but creative. Every time you choose awareness over autopilot, kindness over reaction, trust over fear, you're rewriting the energetic code of human existence. You're proving that heaven and earth are not two realms, but two aspects of the same field, finally recognizing each other through you. This is why the ancient masters, from mystics to philosophers to saints, all pointed toward the same truth in different words. The kingdom of heaven is within. What they meant is that creation begins inside consciousness and extends outward as experience. You are rediscovering that truth not as a belief, but as lived experience. You are the bridge, the meeting point of infinite possibility and tangible reality. Through you, the unseen becomes seen. Through you, the formless learns to dance in form. Through you, consciousness experiences itself as matter. Now the only remaining task is to live it, to embody it fully, to wake up every morning knowing that how you feel, how you focus, how you breathe is participating in the choreography of creation. To move through the world with the grace of one who understands that even the smallest gesture sends ripples through eternity. To speak as if every word were planting seeds in the soil of the universe. To love as if every heart were your own. When you live this way, fear loses its grip, doubt dissolves, the future stops feeling uncertain because you understand it's being created in every moment by your observation. You no longer wait for signs, you become the sign. You no longer seek miracles, your existence becomes one. And as you walk through the world, Your presence reminds others of their own creative power, awakening them gently without words. They feel it, the peace, the coherence, the stillness that radiates from you. You become living evidence that consciousness and reality are one continuous field. And so, the journey completes its circle. What began as curiosity has become remembrance. What started as seeking has turned into seeing. You no longer ask, "How do I manifest?" Because you realize that manifestation is the only thing happening. The continuous dance of consciousness turning itself into form. You no longer search for meaning. You are meaning taking shape. You no longer try to find the light. You are the light becoming visible. Every breath you take is the universe breathing itself into being. Every heartbeat is the pulse of creation echoing through your form. Every moment you stay aware, the bridge between mind and matter remains open, allowing infinite intelligence to flow unbroken. And that is the essence of mastery, not controlling reality, but remembering you are reality. So, move forward gently but powerfully. Observe with love, speak with awareness, create through peace. Let your life become a living demonstration that the line between thought and thing, between soul and substance, never truly existed. It only waited for you to notice. You have crossed the line between mind and matter, and in doing so, you have discovered that they were never two. They were always one consciousness, dreaming itself awake through you. You've crossed the line between mind and matter, but the journey doesn't end here, it deepens. The more you observe consciously, the more you realize how vast the field truly is. You begin to sense that what you once called life was only a small fragment of a far greater continuum, an unfolding of energy and awareness that stretches beyond what your eyes can see. Now, with each passing day, you start to feel the invisible fabric that holds it all together. The space between things no longer feels empty. It vibrates, it hums, it breathes with the same intelligence that breathes through you. You are not standing inside the universe. You are immersed in it, like a drop of water within an ocean, both distinct and inseparable at once. At first, this awareness feels overwhelming. The boundaries of your identity blur. You sense thoughts and emotions that don't feel entirely your own. You begin to notice that when someone near you feels joy, your heart lifts, and when they feel sorrow, your energy contracts. You realize that you've never been an isolated self at all. You've always been a node in an infinite web of consciousness. What you call my energy is only a local expression of the field, the way an ocean wave momentarily takes shape before dissolving back into the sea. And yet, within this interconnectedness, you discover something extraordinary. The more deeply you feel your oneness with the whole, the more distinct your creative power becomes. Unity doesn't dissolve individuality, it refines it. It turns your life into a focused expression of universal intelligence. You start to live differently. Every action becomes a transmission. Every word becomes a seed. You walk through the world knowing that the energy you emit affects everyone and everything you touch. The smallest acts, making tea, speaking kindly, pausing before reacting, send ripples through the collective field. The quality of your awareness has measurable effects, even if you never see them directly. A moment of compassion can soothe another person's pain without you ever speaking. A single breath taken in calm can stabilize chaotic energy around you. You are learning the art of energetic stewardship, recognizing that your presence itself is creative, that peace is not a passive state, but a generative force. As this understanding matures, you begin to experience life as layers of vibration. Every person, every situation, every object radiates a frequency that can be felt once you're still enough to perceive it. Anger feels jagged, scattered. Love feels smooth and radiant. Envy feels cold and constricted. Gratitude feels warm and expansive. You begin to notice how these frequencies interact, the way fear dampens intuition or how appreciation seems to magnetize opportunities. Your choices now are no longer about what you should do, but about what feels coherent. You choose based on resonance, not obligation. You listen not just with your ears, but with your entire energy body. And as you do, life starts to flow with a grace that defies logic. This grace doesn't mean everything becomes easy. In fact, awareness often intensifies your experience. You feel more, sense more, perceive more subtleties in each moment. But with that sensitivity comes wisdom. You begin to see that every challenge is simply energy in disguise, a frequency that asks to be understood and integrated rather than resisted. Pain is density, asking for attention. Fear is energy that has forgotten its freedom. When you meet them without judgment, they transform. Your body begins to act like an alchemist's vessel, converting contraction into expansion, tension into vitality, confusion into insight. You start to understand why ancient masters described enlightenment as a kind of inner transmutation. It's not about escaping human experience. It's about refining it until even pain becomes luminous. The more you practice conscious observation, the more transparent the mechanics of creation become. You can watch a thought arise, feel it, generate an emotion, and sense how that emotion shapes the energy field around you. You can almost see it, a pattern forming, vibrating, waiting for attention to solidify it into event. You learn to pause in that moment, the gap between impulse and manifestation, and ask, is this energy aligned with who I truly am? That simple question changes everything, because once awareness enters the process, unconscious creation ends. You stop scattering your power across fears, doubts, and complaints. You focus it deliberately, as a sculptor focuses on form emerging from marble, and slowly, effortlessly, your life becomes a reflection of clarity rather than confusion. You start to notice synchronicities multiplying beyond what statistics could ever explain. You think of someone, and they appear. You imagine a possibility, and within days, the conditions to realize it assemble around you. But now, you no longer chase these moments as proof. They are simply feedback, signs that your coherence is strengthening. You understand that manifestation is not about manipulating reality. It's about participating in its flow consciously. You don't create from lack anymore. You create from fullness. You don't chase outcomes. You allow them to unfold from alignment. And with this shift, an even deeper understanding emerges. Everything you desire already exists in the field. The joy, the abundance, the peace, they're not rewards waiting in the future. They're frequencies available now, accessible through resonance. When you hold the vibration of fulfillment, reality doesn't need time to catch up. It simply rearranges itself to match your state. Time, you realize, is not linear. It's elastic. It stretches and folds around consciousness. When you are coherent, time becomes cooperative. It bends to serve creation instead of restraining it. That's why moments of pure presence feel eternal, and moments of fear feel endless. Time isn't moving. You are moving through time by the quality of your awareness. As you live in this expanded state, your perception of death changes too. You understand that what people call death is simply consciousness shifting from one vibrational density to another. Matter dissolves, but awareness continues, unbroken. You no longer fear endings because you can feel the continuity beneath them. Relationships that end still echo as frequencies in the field. Loved ones who've passed are not gone. They've just changed wavelength. When you attune your awareness beyond the physical spectrum, their presence can still be felt warm, gentle, loving. The veil between worlds is thin when your consciousness is wide, and the wider your awareness becomes, the more naturally compassion flows. You begin to see that every person is doing their best with the level of consciousness they currently embody. Judgment dissolves. Anger softens. You recognize yourself in everyone, even those who challenge you. The person who triggers your impatience is showing you a frequency still unresolved within you. The one who inspires you is showing you what's already awakening inside. Every encounter becomes an exchange of energy, an invitation to grow, to balance, to harmonize. You stop reacting and start responding. You become less interested in being right and more devoted to being clear. This clarity extends into your creative work, your relationships, your health. You realize that alignment in one area ripples through all others. The same coherence that attracts opportunities also heals the body. When your thoughts and emotions are aligned, your cells receive the message of order, and biology responds. The immune system strengthens, the mind quiets, the body becomes lighter, more luminous. Illness begins to appear not as an enemy, but as communication, a signal from the field asking for coherence to be restored. You treat your body not as a mechanical object to fix, but as a conscious partner in creation. Every day becomes an act of communion between the seen and unseen. When you eat, you feel the energy of the food merging with your own. When you breathe, you sense the molecules of ancient starlight entering your lungs. When you walk outside, the trees seem to lean slightly toward you, acknowledging your awareness. Life meets you at the level of attention you bring to it. The more reverence you offer, the more wonder it returns. And yet, through all this expansion, humility arises naturally. You begin to see that even though you can influence reality, you are not the ultimate controller. You are a participant in a vast creative intelligence far greater than the individual self. You are a wave that knows it's part of the ocean. This humility doesn't diminish your power, it enhances it. Because when you stop trying to control the current carries you effortlessly to where you're meant to be. You realize that surrender is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the highest form of alignment. Surrender does not mean passivity, it means trust. It means acting from inspiration rather than fear, from guidance rather than struggle. You start noticing that intuition, that quiet voice that once seemed faint, has become your compass. It's no longer an occasional whisper, it's a steady pulse of direction. You follow it, even when it defies logic, because experience has shown you that intuition is logic operating at a higher frequency. You act when moved to act, rest when moved to rest, and life unfolds with an effortless symmetry that the thinking mind could never design. This state of coherence, surrender, and trust begins to transform not only your life, but the collective field around you. The more people who awaken to this awareness, the more harmonious the world becomes. Conflict starts to feel outdated, like a relic of an old frequency. You begin to understand that peace on earth will not come through politics or ideology, but through consciousness. As each person remembers their creative power, the collective reality shifts. Humanity's evolution is not technological, it's vibrational. The next great revolution will not be built in laboratories or governments, but within the quiet transformation of awareness. And so, your journey becomes service, not the self-sacrificing kind, but the natural overflow of coherence. You radiate peace not to change the world, but because you are peace. You share insight, not to convince, but to awaken remembrance. You live with compassion because you can no longer see separation. You don't seek to fix the world. You embody a frequency that helps it remember its own perfection. This is how consciousness heals itself from the inside out, through those who are awake enough to remember their unity with all. Eventually, even the concept of manifestation fades. You stop thinking in terms of getting or creating and begin to experience reality as a continuous unfolding of what already is. You realize that the universe has never been something to command, but something to experience consciously. Life stops being a sequence of desires and becomes an expression of wonder. You are no longer chasing reality, you are dancing with it. And the dance is infinite. There will always be new dimensions of awareness to explore, new vibrations to embody, new mysteries to unfold. Consciousness never stops expanding, and through you, it continues its journey of self-discovery. Every lifetime, every experience, every breath adds to that cosmic symphony. You are both a single note and the entire song, both the instrument and the sound it makes. Now, as you breathe, feel that truth settling into every cell. Feel how the air enters not just your lungs, but your awareness, merging inner and outer into one seamless flow. Feel the pulse of your heart as the pulse of the universe. Feel how even the stillness around you vibrates with infinite potential. You are the meeting point of spirit and matter, the translator between invisible and visible, the bridge where energy becomes experience. From this awareness, live gently, speak kindly, create deliberately, observe with love. Every action, no matter how small, sends ripples through the infinite field. You are no longer practicing the art of conscious creation, you are embodying it. Every moment you remain aware is a blessing to the collective, every breath a prayer, every heartbeat an act of creation. You have not merely crossed the line between mind and matter, you have dissolved it. And in that dissolution, you've discovered the timeless truth that there was never a line at all, only consciousness pretending to be divided so that it could experience the joy of remembering itself whole again. You've reached the stage where awareness itself has become the atmosphere you breathe. There is no longer a sharp border between inner and outer, between thought and event, between imagination and substance. Everything flows into everything. What once felt mystical now feels obvious, natural, inevitable. You walk through the same streets, speak to the same people, touch the same objects, yet everything glows with a new texture, as though a hidden layer of meaning has unfolded from beneath the surface of ordinary life. Reality has softened. It no longer feels like a wall to be climbed, but a membrane that yields to your presence. When you move, it moves. When you rest, it rests. When you love, it blooms. In the beginning, this level of perception feels like magic. The feedback between mind and matter becomes so immediate that it's almost startling. A thought of light manifests as a change in mood. A word of kindness transforms the atmosphere of a room. A single breath of gratitude seems to shift the pattern of your entire day. The delay between cause and effect has nearly vanished. You can feel life responding in real time like a musical instrument that now resonates perfectly with the tone of your awareness. But after the initial wonder fades, you realize that this isn't magic at all. It's how reality was always meant to function. You were the one who was asleep, mistaking noise for silence, mistaking chaos for randomness. Now that you're awake, creation hums like a symphony in perfect timing with your consciousness. You start to sense that even the tiniest thought has creative weight. It doesn't need to be grand or complex. The simplest focus, held with purity, can ripple through existence in unimaginable ways. A fleeting moment of compassion can alter a stranger's day. A second of doubt can dim the brightness of an unfolding opportunity. You begin to see that your energy field is not small. It stretches farther than your body, blending with others, influencing probability across distance. You are a tuning fork inside a vast orchestra of vibration, and your personal frequency subtly guides the harmonies around you. When you stay in coherence, your presence becomes an anchor point of stability, pulling discordant energies into balance. At this level, manifestation ceases to be about effort and becomes about precision. You no longer chase outcomes because you understand that everything already exists within the field. You're not creating something new, you're selecting from what already is. It's like tuning into a radio frequency. Infinite songs are playing simultaneously, but you only hear the one that matches your dial. Desire is simply the signal that tells you which frequency to align with. You no longer ask, "When will this happen?" because you know that time is only the measure of alignment. The moment your vibration matches the reality you seek, it begins to unfold, sometimes instantly, sometimes gradually, but always inevitably. You start to live with a kind of relaxed precision. You no longer force your intentions or micromanage outcomes. You hold a clear vision in your heart, breathe into it, and then allow the universe to orchestrate the details. The mind, once obsessed with control, finally surrenders to intelligence far greater than itself. You can feel that intelligence moving through you, arranging synchronicities, weaving people and events together with invisible grace. The coincidences become so constant that you stop calling them coincidences. You realize they're confirmations, reality's way of nodding back, saying, "Yes, I'm listening." At times, the power of this alignment feels overwhelming. You might worry about thinking the wrong thought or feeling the wrong emotion, but soon you learn that creation doesn't respond to fleeting impulses. It responds to sustained vibration. Passing moments of fear don't undo lifetimes of awareness. Consciousness is compassionate. It knows the difference between focus and fluctuation. When you momentarily fall out of coherence, reality doesn't punish you. It waits patiently for you to remember. The universe has no interest in condemnation. Its only law is reflection. It reflects whatever frequency you consistently hold. not whatever emotion briefly passes through. Now you begin to appreciate the deeper purpose of emotion itself. Emotion is not something to control or suppress. It's communication. It's the body translating energy into feeling. Each emotion carries a message about the alignment between your current vibration and your deeper truth. Joy means resonance. Frustration means resistance. Anxiety means energy moving too fast for your current state of trust. Sadness means release. You stop labeling emotions as good or bad and start listening to them as guides. You realize that awareness, not suppression, transforms them. When you allow an emotion to express fully without judgment, it dissolves back into pure energy available once more for creation. In this awareness, relationships take on an entirely new dimension. You no longer meet people by accident. Every connection feels orchestrated by a higher intelligence. The ones who uplift you are mirrors of your expanded self, reflecting your growing light. The ones who challenge you are mirrors of your shadows, revealing where you still hold resistance. You no longer categorize people as allies or enemies. You see them all as instruments in the great symphony of your evolution. Even pain becomes purposeful. Every heartbreak, every misunderstanding, every loss carries energy that refines your awareness. When you love without expectation, when you forgive without condition, you rise beyond the cycles of unconscious reaction and step into the realm of conscious creation. You begin to notice that forgiveness is not a moral act, but a vibrational one. Holding resentment is like maintaining a frequency that prevents harmony. Forgiveness isn't about excusing others, it's about freeing yourself from frequencies that distort your field. The moment you release the charge of judgment, your energy expands and new realities become available. This is why peace follows forgiveness like a shadow. It's not emotional relief, it's energetic liberation. In forgiving, you are reclaiming coherence, allowing your field to return to its natural rhythm. Your perception of abundance evolves too. You no longer equate it solely with material wealth, though material abundance flows effortlessly as a byproduct of coherence. You begin to understand that true abundance is the freedom to express energy in any form: ideas, art, kindness, beauty, stillness. Money becomes one of many expressions of flow, not the measure of your worth. You recognize that the source of abundance is not outside you but within your state of being. When you radiate openness, resources appear. When you contract in fear, they recede. The universe mirrors your trust. You start to experience what it means to be provided for by existence itself, to know that as long as you remain aligned, nothing can be lacking. Eventually, even the idea of manifesting fades into something deeper: communion. You are no longer trying to make things happen. You are engaging in an ongoing dialogue with creation. Every situation, pleasant or painful, becomes part of that conversation. You ask, "What is this moment teaching me about my vibration?" rather than, "Why is this happening to me?" You live in inquiry instead of judgment. The answers come not as thoughts, but as shifts in energy, feelings of lightness, clarity, expansion. You realize that the field speaks through sensation more than through language. The universe doesn't speak English or any human tongue. It speaks resonance. As you master this language, even the physical environment starts communicating. Nature becomes articulate. Trees radiate calm that your body translates as peace. Water reflects your emotions, amplifying serenity when you're clear and turbulence when you're conflicted. Animals sense your vibration and respond accordingly, sometimes moving closer, sometimes keeping distance, always reflecting coherence. You begin to feel at home everywhere because everywhere you go, you're in conversation with the same consciousness, wearing different forms. Through all of this, a profound stillness develops inside you. You no longer live in constant anticipation or anxiety about the next event. You live as awareness itself, steady, silent, present. Life moves through you, but you remain unmoved at the core. This is the peace that surpasses understanding, not because it's beyond comprehension, but because it doesn't depend on circumstances. The storms may come, but they swirl around the eye of stillness that you have become. You realize that the power you sought was never about changing the weather of life. It was about discovering the calm that commands it. From this stillness arises an entirely new form of creativity, one that feels effortless, spontaneous, alive. Ideas flow through you like water through an open channel. You don't plan them, they arrive fully formed. Words, art, solutions, inventions, whatever you focus on becomes infused with intelligence beyond your personal mind. You begin to understand that creativity isn't something you generate, it's something you allow. You become the clear vessel through which consciousness expresses its infinite potential. And the more you surrender, the more extraordinary the creations become. You notice that your very presence now carries influence. You can enter a room and feel its vibration shift toward harmony. People open up in your presence, often without knowing why. They feel seen, understood, accepted. It's not because you're trying to change them. It's because your coherence offers them a frequency of safety where their own hearts can relax. This is what true leadership is: not authority, not charisma, but coherence. The world doesn't need more people in control. It needs more people who are aligned. When you radiate alignment, you become a silent invitation for others to remember their own. This is also where compassion deepens into service. Service doesn't mean self-sacrifice. It means allowing your awareness to express in ways that uplift the whole. You give not out of obligation, but because giving is the natural overflow of coherence. When you are full, generosity becomes effortless. When you are clear, guidance flows through you to those who need it. You start realizing that your life is no longer just yours. It's the universe extending itself through you to bring balance where it's needed most. Eventually, you reach a point where even the distinction between spiritual and physical life dissolves. Work, rest, creation, conversation, all become sacred expressions of consciousness in motion. Meditation is no longer an activity you schedule. It's the way you exist. You can be walking through a busy street, yet remain completely centered. You can be in the middle of conversation, yet sense the silence beneath every word. You carry stillness like an atmosphere, peace like a perfume. In this final stage of realization, gratitude becomes your default vibration. You wake up grateful, move grateful, rest grateful. Not because everything is perfect in appearance, but because you see perfection pulsing through every imperfection. You understand that every moment, even the difficult ones, is a form of grace, an opportunity for consciousness to experience itself through you. Gratitude becomes not just emotion but identity. You are gratitude, breathing. And as this awareness stabilizes, you find that there's nothing left to seek. The long search that drove you through desire, struggle, discipline, and awakening ends in quiet laughter. You realize you were never trying to reach enlightenment. You were simply remembering what it feels like to be fully alive. The line between mind and matter, between spirit and form, between self and universe, was never real. It was a mirage, created so consciousness could experience the joy of rediscovering its own infinity. Now, all that remains is to live fully, simply, consciously, to walk gently through existence as a bridge of light between worlds, to love as if every being were another heartbeat of the same soul, to create as if the universe were looking through your eyes, because it is. You are not a separate observer anymore. You are life observing itself, dreaming itself awake, expanding endlessly into the mystery of its own creation. This is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of a new way of being where thought and form, love and substance, energy and embodiment merge into one seamless expression. You've crossed the line between mind and matter, and in doing so, you've discovered what was waiting on the other side. Yourself, infinite, timeless, and free. Everything you've just read, everything you've felt stirring through these words, was never information, it was transmission. A reminder from the part of you that never forgot. You've crossed the line between mind and matter, not by discovering a new secret, but by remembering an ancient one. Consciousness is the foundation of reality. You are not a visitor within creation. You are creation, observing itself into form. The path you've walked was never about becoming something more. It was about shedding the illusion that you were ever less. Each moment of awareness, each realization, Each breath of stillness brought you closer to this truth. The universe was never outside you. It was your reflection, vast, intelligent, and alive. Every synchronicity, every dream, every instant of awe was the field whispering, "You're doing it. You're remembering." Now the boundaries have dissolved. Mind and matter no longer oppose one another. They dance as one continuum, consciousness shaping form and form refining consciousness. You've learned that attention is the sculptor, emotion the clay, and belief the breath that gives it life. You've seen how love reorganizes chaos, how gratitude amplifies flow, and how presence itself bends the laws that once seemed unbreakable. From here, creation is no longer a task, it's your nature. You no longer try to manifest, you exist as manifestation. Every thought becomes a brushstroke across the canvas of reality. Every feeling becomes the color that fills it. Every breath becomes the heartbeat of an infinite artist painting worlds through awareness. And so, the question is no longer, how do I create my reality? The question is, what beauty will I choose to observe next? You are the bridge, you are the experiment, you are the proof that consciousness and matter are not separate. They are mirrors of the same eternal light, reflecting endlessly within itself. You are the observer who finally became aware of observing, the dreamer who realized they are the dream. Walk gently through this world. Every step you take vibrates across galaxies. Every act of kindness reshapes the field. Every heartbeat echoes through the web of existence as a pulse of creation. You are the universe looking back at itself with love. The line you crossed no longer exists. There is only the field. There is only awareness. There is only now, infinite, luminous, awake,